Well, big up, big up, big up. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all that are joining us. It is a unexpected episode today because I was supposed to be going to an event today, but it looks like I'm going to be going to the event on Friday. Not because I got the days wrong, but because um there are multiple days for this event. It's the big golf event, PGA event that is held here in my area. So I am going to link up actually with a couple of my padres and compadres, and also hopefully with my friend Bunt, who is a DJ from Germany. So shout out to him as well. Um, and while I am here, I would love to share a little bit of what's going on. Also, maybe just chop it up a little bit, because I know if you are watching the EFL Cup right now, you're probably not enjoying what you're seeing because it is already 3-0. That game is, unless you see uh, City shut down like they did against Spurs, I don't see much happening in the aspects of Newcastle battling back in this one, as Manchester City have definitely held on to the advantage in this game. But like I said, if you are a glutton for punishment and want to watch the game, more power to you. I'm not going to have it on in the background, or I turned it off. I'll just probably give you updates, or I'm sure some of our OGs in the chat, some of our OG Reds in the chat will give you the updates as well. So shout out to Hylor, big up, big up, and also let's just get right into what we're going to get down to talking, this subject at least. And that is, we're heading into one of the biggest Premier League fixtures of our season. And what I mean by that is there are a couple of teams that are certainly, where you look at the calendar and you circle the names of those or circle the dates of those games for the season for us. And Manchester City is always one of them. Manchester City has, I think, when it comes to chasing silverware, Manchester City has surpassed Manchester United as a true rival for us for that silverware. However, Manchester United are still our undoubted rival to the end. But we're heading into one of the biggest Premier League fixtures, and Liverpool might be doing it, I guess you could say, being it with, like, it's when they say just throw some duct tape on it, and that's kind of like what we're doing with our team. It feels like Manchester City at Anfield should be about belief, I think, intensity certainly, and it has to be about us not only gaining momentum but also maintaining momentum. The little bit of momentum that we got from this Newcastle game, we have to build on that. And that means we have to always continue to press the narrative in these games, and also not be overcome. Because look, unfortunately, we are not in the League Cup. We are not in the League Cup. However, Manchester City are. And by Manchester City being in the League Cup, they are going to have people, some that probably won't start, albeit, because as of late, Foden really hasn't started much, or as much as he usually or would or should, probably, considering his talent. They went with a very unique lineup today. For instance, they went with Nunez and some of the normal names you probably would see in that back four. But what was unique about it is they have Nori as their winger, and obviously Semenyo on the other side. So, but they're going with 2 10s in Reinders and Foden, and having Marmoush, who is a player that was reportedly on the way out, but is currently looking as a goal scorer. He's on a, or as a goal threat, I should say, as he is on a hat trick. He is on a hat trick alert. He's trying to get a hat trick at least. But and I get that. I get that. Some Manchester City and Arsenal could be the teams that find themselves in the League Cup final. Man City and Arsenal will have to battle it out, and Man City winning the cup final would be a big haul for them, to be honest with you, because they've made a concerted effort to make Manchester City have made a concerted effort to make the Carabao Cup a priority for them. And what I mean by priority, meaning as in they put actual effort in trying to establish that as a trophy that they win. So, and knowing that we are the all-time leading cup holder of the League Cup, it does make a difference for us as well. But we're no longer in it this season. So hopefully this extra time off that we have can hopefully get some players healthy and can certainly bring some players back to where we need them to be. Shout out to Ardo. Big up, Ardo. Good to see you. Good to see you. I was going to say this though. What's scary about this upcoming game, though, and I'm going to get into this in the next segment primarily, but is that we could be missing up to 11 players for this matchup. Now, you might say 11 players is a lot, and I know that is, but I'm not trying to say that as a scare tactic. I'm not trying to do that spin, but that's the reality we face. And it frames a lot about what we saw in that round table. It frames a lot about what we saw in the other social platforms we have out here that are spinning one way or spinning one narrative or this or that. You could even say maybe with our acquisition that is not coming in January, but going to arrive in the summer. Because I don't want to make this episode anything remotely about City, to tell you the truth, but it is about squad depth. It is about our planning. It is about the pressure that is on the backs of these players. And it's also about the philosophy versus results status that our coach spoke about in that round table. And it kind of, to be honest with you, rubbed me a little bit the wrong way about some of the things that he said. But then again, I know that might be picking at straws, as they say, or something along those lines. Big up, Red Armchair supporter. Big up, big up. Greetings to you. Definitely one of the OGs in the house for sure. Definitely for sure. But I wanted to make this about whether Liverpool are drifting toward a season-defining, let's call it a fork in the road. You know, when you're driving or if you're traveling on a path and you come to a fork in the road, you have to decide as to whether you're going to go right. Maybe it could be go through the middle, or even go to the left. And we've got to decide where we're going to be going with a lot of these directions of our team. So I'm going to start with who is actually available for our club, and meaning who's going to be actually available possibly coming up for this game, as now we're midway through the week. And I know that it is good to, by the way, that it's not a Saturday game, it's a Sunday game. So it's a Sunday afternoon game, and that's when we'll find our Reds back in action. And it'll be a game against Manchester City, obviously, as I spoke on earlier. And right now, the biggest question isn't tactics, it's really about availability. Joe Gomez is the name I think that is the most important name on this list of players that were question marks and whether they'll be available. And why I say that is because he's missed the last two games after that, I would call it a freak collision with Ali at Bournemouth, which injured his hip. And Slot is hoping, not guaranteeing, but hoping that Gomez might be available to return for Sunday's game. And that's a big if, but that's a big lift if it's the case. And why I say that is because we are lacking at right back right now. We are lacking in right back. And the situation is bordering on crisis, if not a crisis for some, or how, if you would listen to some would say it's a serious, major crisis for us. Frimpong's unavailable. Connor Bradley season over with the knee surgery. Frimpong once again. It's one week it's hamstrings. Now it's a groin issue. Look, missing Newcastle was big to see Frimpong miss Newcastle, but likely he'll be out for possibly another week, if not two. So suddenly Gomez isn't just a rotation option. He becomes potentially a very important player to call on, maybe even a necessity for some, unless some are really still comfortable seeing. If some might be still comfortable seeing Mr. Bosley in that role at right back, some might gravitate towards what I am under the pretense of saying, which is let's give Ramsey an actual shot at playing the role. Maybe not against Manchester City. I get that. I'm not saying throw him to the wolves. Okay, Manchester City would be a very difficult matchup to go up against, but to possibly give us a little bit of rest and rotation, play Ramsey. Simple as. But that's just my opinion. And elsewhere, even if you go beyond that, Liverpool's injuries keep stacking up. We obviously have Alexander Isak, who remains out with the after getting ankle surgery. We have including the fractured fibula, which was sustained against Spurs before Christmas. We have obviously our promising and hopefully well on the men teenage center back in Giovanni Leone, who was out for ACL surgery. And then you got to include players like who I rate, Jaden Dans, Stefan Bishetic, even a Welton Lucky, who are unavailable currently, who would have been obviously something of a throwback, a throwback towards at least having someone as a viable, or not viable, or let's just say viable, at least a youth academy option to play as a center half. But that's not just missing numbers, that's missing a lot of depth from our team. And City aren't immune to it either. Obviously, City have injuries to Vardial. They have injuries to John Stones, which obviously made them go into the market, unlike ourselves, and get Mark Gahey. And I know Ruben Diaz has returned to training, but when you go further forward, you'll have Jeremy Doku, who's going to be apparently unavailable. You have Ryan Shirky, who might be a doubt for this game. You have Kovacic and Sevilla are expected to miss out on this matchup too. So
they've got a lot of players.
Here's the difference, I think. And I got a panel now because JK is with me. And big up, JK. Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm all good, bro. How you doing?
Okay. Let me make sure that. Oh, it is 3-1, by the way. It is 3-1. Let me. I'm here now. I can hear you now. Sorry about that. Sometimes cool. If my phone and my computer, now that they're both Apple computers or Apple products, they have like when I log in, sometimes it logs into both my computer and my phone. And then it presses me on like picking my phone as the priority. But it is 3-1, people. 3-1. That would mean that's 5-1 in aggregate, though. It would make it 5-1 in aggregate. Ilanga has scored that goal to make it at least a 3-1 affair for Newcastle, as they will not be shut out in their efforts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least they have a little bit of efforts.
Bless up Helio and Red Archer. Very cool.
Yeah, people give me shout outs. Big up. Elongated, yeah,
Yeah,
for
like for
sure.
me, we got these guys on Sunday. City they're not consistent for me this season. They win
Mhm,
games, then they lose games, and they're not great. But
mhm.
then they are great. So yeah, they've had that extra game. We've had a rest this week, so that might be a good thing. We'll see what happens on Sunday. But I'm confident. I reckon we're going to beat them.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to beat them because the
Hmm.
Anfield difference in Anfield has been a difficult place for them to play.
Hmm.
But I would say, is this injury list an excuse or a warning sign about how thin this squad is basically for you? Because I mean, like, I'd say
Hmm.
honestly, City's injuries are they have some significant injuries. Vardial being injured, that's a big injury for them because he was a very important piece of their
Hmm.
even John Stones, but Vardial more so was a very important back uh, a member of their back line. But other than that, they're pretty intact. And they've also replaced those pieces with players that are capable of holding up this ship or holding up the bar. Um, for us, though, our injuries are certainly structural, and they've made us go to a point where we're now playing players out of position just to make up the difference. Is
Hmm.
that concerning to you?
Look, bro, it shows me the versatility of each player. And look, when Joe Gomez, if Joe Gomez didn't always get injured, you've got a guy who
Mhm,
can play centre back, left back, right back in
mhm,
one player. That for me is great. What Jurgen Klopp used to do, he used to buy captains in our countries for the club,
mhm,
and
mhm,
also like to get a Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez's only downfall is his injuries. If not, he'd be sort of sound. So what's like filling in at right back? I think he did pretty well against Newcastle. I think that was one of his better games at right back for me. Who else is there? I'm not a big fan of it there. I'd rather have a right back playing right back and a striker playing striker. You know what I mean? Um, but there's versatility in the players in our squad, where players can play in different positions and stuff. It is a bit of a worry when you look at the Man City squad. They've got a lot of players. I just realised they've got a lot of players in their squad. Bar their strikers, I would say. Defensively, they've got a lot of a lot of defenders, and midfielders. They've got a lot of midfielders, but strikers not so many.
mhm. Yeah, they're Marmouche is looking to try to get a hat trick today. He's already on 2 goals.
Hmm.
Player that was reportedly on his way out, by the way, which is probably pretty
He's a,
wild.
he's an okay player. Um, I don't know. No one wants to play second fiddle to no one, innit, bro? Come on. When
Mhm,
you turn into a professional footballer, um, your main mission is to be number one for one club, to be the main striker. Haaland's that, Kane's that, Mbappe's that. So if you're going to a club like Real Madrid, Man City, or a Bayern Munich where Harry Kane's at, you know you're going to play second fiddle to them guys. That's where Nicholas Jackson went to. Remember, he was at Chelsea, went to Bayern, and he's been sub all season. Marmoush probably didn't want that no more, so he probably thought I want to leave, but he ended up staying. Now he's getting a bit more game time recently. I've seen that.
mhm, mhm. Uh, Hylor is saying we have to talk. We've talked about this to a great extent. How Arnie Slot often admits to how he likes to have a small squad, and often you see that he also prefers to use just a selected few of players. The disparity between what Slot prefers and the comment he made as an excuse with player fatigue for why we lost against Bournemouth with players just under 3 days before playing against Marseille. That just doesn't fly with Hylor. Um, I can understand what he's saying too. I mean, like I also think that I agree with the fact that he should have rotated earlier in some of these games. Most notably the Karabakh game, I think he should have rotated earlier. And I know people will say, well, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't, But what the point of it was is that, when we were up 3-1, there was no reason why to have, some of the players. He didn't sub in that game, I think, until like the very end of it. I want to say the 80th, like in the 80th minute, like 84th minute or something like that. I'd have to look. I have to definitely look. Let me see.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not a big fan of that because what can happen is fatigue, injuries, and then who's going to come in and fill in? A guy who's not played for 15 games, and then all of a sudden he's playing. It's not great, bro.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can understand just having the same 11 for consistently in the season because that's going to build up momentum.
Yeah.
And defensively is going to make you more solid because you're regularly playing with the same players. It's not chopping and changing, and we've did a lot of chopping and changing this season, bro. And you've seen the results of that. We're sixth. When you've got a regular starting 11, hence why I won't go in a bit. I know Helio's been saying recently about making late subs now, Arnie, compared to before. I preferred that because for me, we've always chopped and changed in games, and what's happened, we've ended up losing these games or drawing them. Recently, we've been keeping the same players for longer, and we're winning games. So sometimes you've got to keep the same players on the pitch because when you're a midfielder, bro, or a striker, actually, I'll go with the striker. When you're a striker and you know you're going to come off in the 65th minute every game, it's going to piss you off, bro. And you ain't going to get your mind into the game knowing that you're not going to play the 90. You want to play the 90 sometimes on a regular
Mhm.
basis. And that gives the players, especially strikers, that game time he needs to set in, to settle into a position, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just gonna double check here. I'm trying to get this app open to see what was the actual, I think it was this game I'm thinking about. For instance, in this game, yeah, it was the Newcastle game I was talking about, not the Carabao game, by the way. He waited till the 84th minute to sub on Chiesa and Jones, even though we were up 3-1 in the 67th minute of that game.
Yeah.
He waited until the 84th minute to sub out Salah, Ekitike, Verts. Like, I didn't think that was necessary, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're gonna make
Um,
them sub say 7-8 minutes earlier, you know what I mean?
yeah, I could have made. I would have made him in the 70th minute.
Mm-hmm.
Or as soon as
But
we scored those goals, or as soon as we scored our third goal, I would have made that sub. Would have had them off the bench, getting ready to go in.
the thing was it weren't like we were 2-1 up. Um
We were 3-1 up.
yeah, we were 3-1 up, so that was
Right.
a bit of a breathing space to make them subs, you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes when
That's
you
the
make a
only.
sub and you're 2-1
Yeah.
up, it can sort of
Mhm,
crumble. You can let a goal in
mhm.
and another goal. You lose 3-2 because you made them subs. So
Right.
hence why I'm not so making a thing about it that I'm pissed off about it that he's made late subs. Sometimes you need to keep the players on the pitch just to get the job
Mhm,
done.
mhm,
That's why recently I'm happy he's actually kept the same players on. Yeah, man.
mhm. Yeah, I know that there are those under like you hold that philosophy of getting players real running periods and the likes, and I understand that too. I'm not. I've always liked to see, for instance, people were so critical of like our strikers from the year before, and with this coach, I was like, how often do our forwards get a full 90? If it wasn't Mohamed Salah, pretty much, other than Mohamed Salah, our coach would tend to sub out our strikers and not really let them get a full 90 where they could know, okay, I'm not going to come out of this game. I'm going to have a full game to try to get my goal, and try to get my rhythm and get my feet underneath me to score that goal. I think that's important. At least I think that's what you're trying to say, at least too. Um, yeah, in that other Karabakh game, he did make subs. But it was until the 67th and the 75th minute when we were already up 5-0. So it's like it's I know it might be nitpicking a little bit, but it is something that I'm seeing a lot of people reference, as well as to his subbing habits don't necessarily entice them to give them confidence, and also he could be making some different differences in his substitution practices. I'll tell you something that a story I did hear, JK, and um again, this is a story I heard. It's about Real Madrid and Macca. And this story was simply interesting because apparently Real Madrid are quietly planning on a coup of players from our team. They had no winter signings. There's no panic buys. Madrid doesn't necessarily work like that, and we all understand that. But according to a reporter with The Athletic, I think his name is Mario Cortigana, right? According to this writer with The Athletic, and I rate The Athletic, I subscribe to The Athletic, so I definitely read a lot of articles via their subscription or publication. But their focus is firmly on, meaning Real Madrid is firmly on this summer. And two positions are non-negotiable for them. They want to get a center back and a central midfielder. They apparently love Vitinha. I think that's how you pronounce his name, right? I think he's the player from PSG, right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
And they also admire Enzo Fernandez.
Who do?
Real Madrid.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting, right? I know Enzo Fernandez is a name come out of there, but I think
I like him. I think,
yeah.
To tell the truth, I wish he came to us, not for that fee.
Yeah.
But he's the type of guy.
Not for 100.
I like.
Would you have paid 100? I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just going to ask you real quick. Would you have paid 100 some odd million, whatever? I think it was over 100 million for him. He was one of the first real 100 million pound players.
Yeah. Oh, when I think of him as a player, I really like him. I think he's got that mischievous element to his game that we lack sometimes, which I thought McAllister was. McAllister's got it in him, but not to that level. He's got it at. I would have bought him, bro. I think he's quality, man. He scores, and this season he's the most goals he's scored this season.
Ardo is saying if Doku is not playing, he's still talking about Manchester City. If Doku is not playing, he wouldn't mind Endo at right back. That's a good shout, Ardo. Tell me, Ardo, would you say the same for Ramsey? I don't think we'll see Ramsey in that game, but would you be as confident to see Ramsey in that role? I think Endo could do a job, because I think Endo is a very locked in, defensive minded right back that, yes, you're not necessarily going to get a lot of the overlaps and the offensive creativity from him going forward. But one thing that you will have is a player that you can put in the box that can win headers for you, whether it's defensively or offensively. And also he can play defense. He's not going to get stuck in. So it is what it is. But back to what we were saying, both are, I know, pretty untouchable by their teams. I think both of those players are rated very highly by their teams. Both have long contracts, especially the Chelsea contracts. We already spoke about them at length. They have enormous fees that will probably be attached to their transfers. Complicated relationships, to say the least. Which is where this will get somewhat uncomfortable for some, maybe comfortable for others that don't rate this player. But Liverpool's Alexis McAllister has been described as a feasible option for Real Madrid to go after. And that is, I think, for me, concerning, considering I rate Macca. I know everyone does. I know there's some that are in the middle, some that are just not, that think Maka is done and dusted, simply because he's had a little bit of a inconsistency this year for his play. But I know that when Ancelotti was at the Bernabeu, he was asked about McAllister, and he said no formal bid was, no formal bid followed, but discreet inquiries did, and the feedback was positive. Now I know you're going to say, "Well, Ancelotti's not the coach there anymore," and I get that. The reason why I'm bringing up Ancelotti was because they were obviously interested in him for time, like as in it's been a hot minute since Real Madrid has been interested in him, and McAllister is under contract until 2028. So it's not an immediate concern, but it is something that we do have to consider, being that he is going to be a player that will be approaching either that portion of that portion where I think most teams want to get into extending deals. You don't want to wait till the last year to extend someone's deal if you don't have to. And I know sometimes by doing so, we've actually tempted fate, which is what we're doing with Konate, for instance, right now. But by the end of the season, that deal would become 2 years remaining on his contract, the danger zone where clubs would like to decide whether to extend or cash in. And this statement coming from, being that it's coming from the Athletic, I take it as not being just a rumor. I take it as maybe this is something that they're strategically trying to get involved in conversing about. I mean, you can add in reports that Liverpool are considering a new deal for Robbo. There's been mixed reviews, obviously, around Jeremy Jacquet. I am bullish on the player, but some have been very prudish, I guess you could say, on the player. And Celtic are circling around a former Red, and suddenly Liverpool's quiet stability doesn't feel so stable once again, and that is an issue. But is McAllister the type of player Liverpool must make as an untouchable player, or is that the type of player they eventually sell to get money to reset at that role? What is that? What is McAllister for you? And that's for you, JK.
Can you just repeat that part again, bro?
Is McAllister that type of player Liverpool must make untouchable? Let's call it, like that player that they prioritize in re-signing, or is he the type of player that eventually you just say, okay, let's maximize the fact that obviously a big name club is interested in his services. The player would be interested in probably going to a Spanish speaking environment. And maybe utilize that money to reset at that role, or maybe buy a bigger and better player at a different role on the club.
McAllister was probably my favorite player of last season.
Okay.
I know Virgil and Salah were top. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I think I connected to McAllister last season. This season, because of that groin injury, bro. Groin injuries are the type of injuries where you're a bit, I wouldn't say scared to get stuck in again when you come back from that operation. But it's one of them type of injuries, bro. And you've seen it with McAllister. He doesn't get stuck in like he did last season. He has done recently a bit more. He's playing. He's had more game time recently, so you could tell he's back from that injury pretty well now. With the regular minutes he's been getting, and he was involved in the games we've won recently as well. He scored as well. I think he's finally finding his rhythm again, McAllister. He's a top player, bro. He surprised me in like last season how good he was. I didn't know he was that good. But one thing he's sort of missing from his game is them goals and assists that he was getting at Brighton. If a big fee comes in for him, bro, it's a no-brainer for me. If 100 million, I can't really see that. That's like
what's the number? What's the number that makes you move?
Look, if someone offers us 50 million, 60 million, I'm thinking now I'd rather keep him because he's a good player, bro. You know what I mean? He ain't a poor player overnight. That injury for me was the reason why it's taken him time to sort of get to that level again.
A lot of people in the chat are saying they would cash. Ardo says he would sell Maka. He asked, "What is his role? We can easily replace him with a better option." Okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
Look, bro,
I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to say easily, but I understand what you're saying. Because everyone's welcome to opinions.
When you look at our games, yeah, there's enough guys there to do the goal scoring and assist making for what a McAllister can bring, if you know what I mean. What we need McAllister is more for the defensive side of the game and to dictate the game in the way Enzo Fernandez say does for Chelsea. You know what I mean? That type of guy. To do them little shady little tackles and you know what I mean. That type of game. I don't know. It's a tricky one. Good player, but if someone drops in 100 million for him, I don't mind seeing him go, even though I really like him as a player.
Okay.
But then again, yeah, it's one of them ones, man. It's a mad one. You watch, he'll smash it in the summer and win the World Cup for Argentina again. Watch something like that. He's that type of player, bro. You know what I mean? He's a good player.
Yeah.
The only thing I think he lacks is pace. That's the main thing he lacks is pace, bro. Yeah. Evening in Nalante. You cool, bro?
Yeah, pick up Nalante. Pick up.
Good to see him.
I was just looking for a stat for you, but the rest of the chat is saying here. Let me add up the other ones. Hyler says, "My advice to all Liverpool players is always to watch beyond just in front of you. McAllister is a player that has the ability, when he's informed, to reach that elite level. Not many players do." Red Armchair Supporter says he likes McAllister, but if he doesn't regain his form, he'd cash in on the player. Big up Latte for sure. Arto is saying sell him, get Baliba with Grab and Sobo, and we're cooking, guys. Look, Baliba, excuse me, is a heck of a player. I will absolutely agree on that. He is a heck of a player. You know, I'll ask this, and I already know Lante's answer to this, but to Ardo, to Hylor, to Red Armchair Supporter, those are the people that have answered the question at least, and to anyone else in the chat, by the way, would you go as far as let's say hypothetically, these deals don't happen. Rarely do they happen because you got to do a lot of negotiating with the player and getting the right contracts and the likes, and it's difficult to make a swap deal. But let's just say there was a swap deal in place. Would you swap if Real Madrid was interested in the player? Would you swap for Camavinga? Or would you even swap for maybe Tuchemeni? Would either of those names be names that you would swap McAllister for?
I can't really say I've watched them Real Madrid this season. I don't really watch Real Madrid, so I don't really know how they're getting on. I've always liked both of them players, but yeah, they're younger than McAllister. I think McAllister's 28. Yeah,
McAllister is, I don't know if he's 28, but let me see.
Arto says how? Yeah,
I think I want to say he's 27, turning 28, but he might.
Yeah,
just might be. He is 27. Yeah,
27.
and he
Good
just
age
turned
to sell him.
No, he just turned 27. He's not 20. He's not like on his way. He's technically
20,
on
he
his
just
way to
turned 27.
28. Obviously, everyone is on their way to whatever is the next year after they turn whatever age. But he did just turn 27 in December. So it wasn't I think he's a Sagittarius or Capricorn. I don't know.
Yeah, he's Capricorn, I think. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Look, bro, he ain't
He
lucky
is
sturdy.
Capricorn. I know that. I do know that actually. He is Capricorn.
He's Capricorn, yeah. Tell him.
Yeah. Before we get JK talking about astrological signs, let's keep it to what the chat is talking about. Those two are picking up a lot of injuries lately, meaning I guess he's speaking about Tchouaméni and Camavinga. Ardo says he says, hell yeah, like Steve Austin. As I have told you earlier, our team does not only compete in the toughest. Okay. Just wondering would you take those deals for either one of those players? If
I
yeah, go ahead.
Probably Camavinga, bro. Yeah.
Camavinga?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I like him.
We're on the same page for that one. I rate Camavinga.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a very talented player, to be honest with you.
We'll be getting the French connection then, him and the guy from Rennes. But people don't really do swap deals like back in the days. You remember? Back in the days,
they
swap
don't.
Players. Yeah, them days are gone, I think. Swapping players. Mm-hmm.
They absolutely don't.
Can you remember the last one? Anyone in the chat? When the last swap deal was sort of done? If anyone can remember?
For Liverpool, especially. Can you name that?
Yeah. I think it was probably... It was it, bro?
On his way to Turkey, by the way. That's wild.
Say again?
No, I just got an update on my phone. It says Fenerbahce has reached an agreement in principle with Al Hilal to sign Darwin Núñez, the former Liverpool striker. Núñez has given his full approval to Fenerbahce's proposal just 1 year after his move to the Saudi Pro League. Talks are at an advanced stage with parties finalizing the fee structure and potential add-ons. Bearing any late complications, Núñez is expected to complete his transfer to the team in the closing hours of the window. Because I think Turkey's window is a little bit extended.
Yeah, the Turkish people, yeah. That's mad. So him and Kante, I think they're 3 points behind Galatasaray in the league. They're in the Europa League, if I'm not wrong. Are they? They're in the Europa League, bro?
Find out for you.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, you know what they are, because they've got a game tomorrow, so they're definitely in the Europa League. Probably trying to make a run in that, to try to win it.
To win it, bro, because if they win that, they're in the Champions League guaranteed next season. Then, look, for me, Darwin Núñez, it's a step on from the Saudi League in the.
I think the Saudi League was a money grab. Yeah.
Yeah, look, money grab, and also a chance to get away from Liverpool. You know, and he's done that. And I was thinking, okay, he'll stay there a year or two maybe and move on, but he's sort of moving on quickly. He could stay at Fenerbahce for a while, score goals, and move to Europe. Then you know what I mean. But I'm happy for him. Yeah. Fair play. I've seen a few videos recently of Darwin. Even from last season, bro, the energy he used to bring on the pitch is very hard to match that energy, bro. Yeah. Football, I've always said football's an energy game. Yeah. And Darwin had that energy. I just feel if he had that Ekatike finishing, he'd be one of the best players in the world right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Easily. Very easily. Well, It is. It is something. It is something to see. We'll see if they can make something happen for Darwin to. Maybe we'll see him in Europe. Maybe we'll see him in Europe. Who
That'd be
knows?
cool to see him. Like they could win the league for Fenerbahce this season. As I said, they're 3 points behind Galatasaray, and they could win the Europa
Yeah.
League because getting Kante in as well. They've always like Dzeko left them. Dzeko's gone to Schalke.
Hmm.
Back to
I think
Schalke. Yeah.
the league just the season just started for them, right?
Where?
Or no, the season just started. No, it didn't just start. Excuse me. That's
No, no.
something else. Hold on.
The Turkish league sort of starts around the same time as ours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 20
They're
games
on
in.
like
My bad.
domestic
No, I'm thinking
European.
of what they're in for this. There's a competition that they're in. I guess it's some type of the Kupasai, the Turkish Cup. I think it is the Turkish Cup, probably.
Okay. I think
Um,
Fenerbahce are playing. Who they're playing in the Europa League, bro? In the knockout. Because I think they're on that phase, aren't they? They didn't go straight through or something. They're in that.
well, they just lost to Villa 1-0. I know that. So let me see
Yeah.
who they are playing.
I think they got a British team or an English. I'm not sure who they got. They got a good team anyway. Who they're playing? I know that.
See. That is they are in 19th place in
I think they're going to play
the
Celtic, isn't they?
they would play. There'll be a playoff game that they play, but they are. Let's see. Their state, the Europa is done. This is in the sense of like they're done with their group, I think, too, because they've had 8 games played.
Yeah, they're done, bro.
So
They've already done the draw. That's what I'm saying. I
yeah,
think they're playing Celtic in that next
yeah.
phase.
Let me see. Let me see. I can tell you that too. Then if it's already out. No, they're playing Forest.
Oh, Forest is it? Oh, okay, good. Go on, Darwin, bro. Go on.
Oh, that'd be
Perfect team.
awesome. Oh, you
Just
know
you.
why it would be awesome if
Mm-hmm.
that happens?
Mm-hmm.
It's because he does not. There's already a lot of angst between Forest fans and him by the fact that he had the game winner against them.
Yeah, he did. Last minute.
He had that last
And look
minute
what.
game winner
Yeah.
where they were complaining about the time, about they were complaining about all these different things about the play should have been stopped, and they had their referee consultant on board, saying how this was wrong and this and that, and he went off. He was happy to, obviously, anytime score you get happy, but I mean, like, for a game winner especially. And yeah, they were pretty pissed off about that one. He let them know, hey, he's a Liverpool Red. That was a big game too. Very important game. Very important game.
And what Red
You
Arm
would think.
says that if he comes back and scores against them, that'd be cool, man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He comes back and scores and just like looks at Arnie Slot like, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, he picks his shirt up and it's a Liverpool shirt underneath.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It says always a red or something like that. How about that?
Something like that.
Oh man, that'd be fantastic. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen? I did have this next segment set up because I wanted to show something. I made this little graph here. It was about, I saw this article pointing this point out, and I really got into, by the way, that's a 3-1 final in that Manchester City game. It is final. The League Cup final will be Manchester City versus Arsenal. It will be Manchester City Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
There will be no back-to-back cups for Newcastle. The defending League Cup champions will have to go at it again. What's that?
No, Isaac.
Nope.
No Isaac,
No
no final.
Alexander the Great.
I
No
think
Alexander
Gordon
the
got
Great on that
injured.
one.
I think Gordon got injured in that game
In what
today.
game? This game
Yeah,
today?
yeah, he came off
Yeah.
pretty early as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I think what's his name came on
for
for him. What's that lad? Barnes. Yeah, Barnes came on for him after 20 minutes or so, something like that.
You're right. I see that in the 44th minute. 44th minute.
44th. Okay.
Not good for the Blue Scouser, but that caused Newcastle home. But yeah, I don't wish injuries onto people, but yeah, I'm not going to say much more. So
what Helio is saying there about when I seen that round table interview the other day with Arnie Stott, that shows me that he's staying. You're not
well,
going to do a
let's
video
get
like
before you get into that. Before you get into that, that's the segment I do have. I have a segment coming up after this that deals with that roundtable conversation, and I'd love to hear everyone's points and their takes on that as well. But I just wanted to bring up this, which was some numbers, and it was pretty much a wild situation that I saw from these numbers, and why I wanted to bring this up. And numbers don't lie. Some people do, but numbers don't. Now, after 24 games last season, Liverpool were 7 points clear at the top, cruising towards our number 20. And fast forward a year later, and we are 18 points off from where we were last season.
Wow. I like that table, what you got there. Forest, bro, as well, minus 21. So Eastern Forest are the worst off from last season when you look at that. Yeah, Burnley, okay, West Ham, also a little bit as well on Bournemouth. But this guy is in Forest. Wow, big difference.
Yep.
That's 6 games, 6 wins.
Points. Yeah, it's 6 games. 6 wins, basically. And the reason why I bring it up is because that's not a marginal regression. That's a major collapse for those people saying, "Oh, well, let's give the manager time and this and that and blah blah blah." Like that's a part of your resume.
That's a 30-point difference between us and Man United.
That's the whole point.
Wow.
That's where I was about to lead towards. And that's where it gets frustratingly bad when it comes to those and when it comes to trying to defend our performances. I mean, not even Forest has been horrible this year. They have fallen off a cliff. They're down 21 points from Champions League dreamers. Like there were talks about Nuno getting, Nuno Espirito Santo getting Coach of the Year last season, or something along those lines. And then things started to fall apart at Forest, and they ended up with Ange, and then they ended up with Sean Dyche. Right now, that's where they're at currently, and they have fallen off an absolute cliff. 21 points down. Obviously, you have Wolves that are at the bottom of the table. But meanwhile, the teams that matter most to Liverpool's ambitions, I would say, are Arsenal, Manchester City, Villa, and you would even argue Manchester United. But all are better than they were a year ago. And that is troubling. That is very troubling. We're trying to pick up on teams that have picked up their pace or picked up their form. And we have certainly been surmounted by, a bad run. And the gap is significant. Arsenal's only 3 points better than they were last year. They're 3 points better than they were last year. That means that if we had the same type of run not even, let's not even go as far as to say the same type of run. Let's just say that we had half of that type of run that we did last year, which would mean that it would be -9 instead of -18. It would make such a significant difference in the fact that we would still be in this title race. But the gap, if you really look at it, is troubling because not only I knew Arsenal, I knew Man City were going to come back this year and contend. We all knew that. Some might have had Villa. I myself had Villa contending this season. Top four. I had them contending for top four last season, and that's why I doubled down this season to have Villa in the mix. But they're up 9 points. But the troubling thing about this graph is the fact that Manchester United are up 12 points in this table. 12 points. We have one league win in 2026. Now, is this against against Newcastle just recently?
Yeah. Not
and
great,
those
bro.
draws, once again, are seriously hampering our ability to do things in the league this season.
Yeah. Because when I look at it, Man City haven't been great this season, bro. And we're far away from them. That's how bad we've been. I'm not, look, you know, this channel here, we don't really moan about Slot. None of us are a big fan of Slot. Me, you, Helio, for example. And the thing is, we could sit here all day and moan about Slot. But that's not going to do any good for our team, bro, because at the end of the day, we're in the points game. You know?
Right.
I've been one of them type of fans. I don't want the manager to lose games so he gets sacked anytime quicker. You know what I mean? So for me, the team always comes first. Points on the table come first. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of Slot's thingy, but it was good to see him show a bit of passion in that Newcastle win on the sideline when we scored the third goal, or was it the fourth? He celebrated pretty. That's probably the most I've ever seen him celebrate. I think he's a bit scared to show his personality and love in him. You know what I mean? Like Jurgen Klopp didn't care less. You know what? Sometimes you get those managers where you want to hear him speak, and then you get them type of managers where you don't really want to hear them speak. You just want their football to do the talking. And I think Slot's one of them managers. You don't really want to hear him talk, but you want his football to do the talking for him. Whereas Klopp, it was the other way around. We wanted to hear him talk and see what he's all about. You know what I mean, bro? He was like, his press conferences couldn't be long enough for me. But his football was on par of his energy when he talked, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So he sort of compensated both of them. So the way he talked is the way his football was. Slot, for me, he's a bit too scared for me. As I've said before on numerous occasions, when you come to the big stage, that is Liverpool Football Club, you know your time could be pretty short. Not because it's Liverpool Football Club, because we actually keep managers for long, at least 4 or 5 years, you know what I mean? But with Slot, seeing the downfall he's had this season, he's tried to portray an image of himself that he knows he can walk into another big club tomorrow if he gets sacked today by Liverpool. Someone will take him. Come on. He's won a Premier League title, bro. So there's going to be a club out there, big, sort of big, anyway, that will take him. Hence why his image is a bit, he tries to portray an image too much sometimes. It's like YouTubers, bro. Content creators. They're also trying to portray an image. They think I'm in the limelight for 5 minutes, so I'm going to portray an image. And that's what football's like as well. Football managers, you know, pretty short time period in jobs.
You start to touch on the conversation they had in that round table. I know some people. Look, I saw some of the reactions. I saw, and it can be frustrating because I saw some of the reactions of let's just be honest. Some of the content creators out here are just negative Nancy's, as in like all they can do is complain. It seems like that's all they can do is just moan and whine and complain, and that can be frustrating because you do want to see, you want to give players and coaches or even administrations the benefit of the doubt, or at least the praise that they deserve when they get things right. And you can be critical of them when they falter. But I did watch the segment in its entirety. I know some people don't like watching Slot because he's not necessarily he can be honest, but he can also be sometimes too honest, or maybe a little bit arrogant with his honesty, a little bit, somewhat, or the way it comes off can be arrogance rather than really heartwarming or endearing conversation. But Arnie Slot won the league in his first season. Let's not get it twisted. That should have bought some real trust amongst all of us, and I think it did. For a good number of us, I think it did. From what I'm hearing is that match-going fans, it has, especially. And the match-going fans are different than the ones that you see online. I think they certainly are, with the way that their patience is a little bit more differently invested in the actual players and coaches and the likes. But this season, that trust has certainly been tested by all. And I think 450 million pounds spent, sixth place in the league with this chart being a backlier in this again, and the fact that we're chasing Chelsea and Man United, albeit by 1 and 2 points respectively, still matters when those two teams are gaining momentum, and it will make keeping pace with them that much more difficult. So Slot said something in this press, or in this little press junket, or whatever you want to call it, this like PR piece. And let's just be honest, it simply was that. It's not a piece where you're going to have some hard-hitting journalist sitting on the other side of the table asking them tough questions. All the questions were rehearsed, I'm sure. They were probably they're pretty much pre-approved. Go ahead. Where would I go, JK?
I was going to say, she's a Liverpool fan. The woman who did the interview, Vicky Commissar. I like her. She's sound. She's ain't like a slimy sort of Sly Sports presenter.
Yeah,
she's
this
Liverpool
is not
fan.
that's not. I'm not saying anything disparaging about the interviewer. I'm just saying that
cool.
that the chances are these questions have probably been almost pre-approved or handed to her, or something along those lines.
Yeah, but if you got another interviewer who could have been a Man United fan, Melissa Reddy or someone like that.
No.
They could have asked her.
You should have had Jamie Carragher. I would have liked to seen that little interaction.
That would have been cool.
That would have been interesting. I think Jamie would have played nice though, considering that
he was at the table.
He was at the table with with Billy Hogan and Richard Hughes. He doesn't have necessarily like an incredible relationship, I don't think, with, or something like that. But I'm sure he has a relationship with Billy Hughes.
That's the first time I really heard him talk.
Billy Hogan, Hughes.
Excuse me. But Hogan. I think he came across pretty sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just thought though there was something he said, and it was interesting. And maybe you guys picked up on this or not. I'm going to bring it up though. And Slot says the biggest thing you can win isn't trophies. It's playing the nicest football. And I remember a coach that said something slightly similar. I will admit that. Klopp says about, it's not about, I'm trying to think of the exact phrase. Let me make sure I get the exact phrase right for my Kaiser. What was the exact quote of Klopp about it's about experiences and winning. Let's see. Something about relationships. Yes, it's about relationships and the like. It's about the relationships you build upon them or something like that. Let me see if I can put that. For me, life is completely about relationships. I don't want to live alone on a mountain. I want to inspire people. I want to be inspired by people. That wasn't the quote I'm looking for. That was a good quote, by the way. I'm just going to read this quote. Let's see. Where was it? It says, I do not believe that it's the fear of losing that makes you a winner. It's rather the desire to win. The desire to let you grow beyond your fear. It was about relationships. I forget the exact comment. And people try to take it as, oh, this guy wants this coach just wants friendships. He wants relationships rather than trophies. He's not interested in winning. He's only interested in the experience of building relationships.
Oh, them comments wind me up, bro. Them ones. Yeah,
I
them
was
type
just
of
like,
comments. He just wants
yeah,
friends. No, he don't. He wants
yeah,
to fucking win. He ain't like he's a footballer. Jurgen Klopp he's like from the streets, you know, that type of guy who played football because he wanted to win. And
yeah.
the thing is, he got into management because he wanted to win. He went in it there to have a good time with James Milner and Henderson and that. Because at the end of the
Mm,
day, the bonus he would have reached at the end of the season if he won the Premier League and Champions League is going to make his family life even better. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you're going to
yeah,
get bonuses that where you win. So that's the cherry on top of the cake because the
yeah,
limelight you
yeah,
get. Klopp ain't in it
yeah.
there just to have a look at, just have a good time, man. And also I agree with
No,
what Helio said there about Klopp developed and maintained a steady strategy that developed world class players, both from the
mhm,
academy and low level cheap players for cheap money.
right.
Allister ain't going to do that. Can he do it? Is
Nope.
he capable? I can't say he is, but Klopp was. And when you look at the way Shankly and Paisley sort of combined with each other to bring Liverpool to the main table, Slot could have done the same, thinking, okay, Klopp did it like this. What I'll do it sort of similar, and I'll just make it better because of the financial input we had from the owners in the summer gone. So we've got Isaac and Wirtz and stuff. So we've got extra better players now, and I'll make it even better. But I'll keep the same sort of mentality of a Klopp. That's what Slot did wrong there. He was so adamant in saying, I'm Arnie Slot, you're Jurgen Klopp. And it sort of messed up his relationship with the Liverpool fans. Arnie Slot could have kept it sweet. You know, he could have said, you know what, I'm keeping it traditional.
Mhm.
He used Klopp's players last season, and he could have just carried on with that sort of momentum. What did he do though, bro? He got rid of everyone who had a little inkling to do with Jurgen Klopp. Harvey
Yep,
Elliott, Kwanzaa, Bang
yep,
Joe, Darwin
yep,
Nunes, Joe. There you go.
yep.
So now he's suffering because of that.
Yeah,
So I don't feel no
those are
pity for him.
yeah. No, I agree with you on that because that's exactly how I see it. I think he ripped out a good bit of the soul of this team,
Big
and
time.
then is surprised that the team's not responding the way it did last season. We had a major tragedy happen at the beginning of the year, and then you add to that, obviously other things that occur in the shape of a season, injuries, obviously passings of family members, and you then find a coach that is asking for players to draw from something that maybe is not necessarily there to be drawn from. But look, here's the honesty I wanted to put into this because I know some fans don't see it. I know Slot knows they don't see it. I think he is. I think he has been well aware and become more than well aware that they don't see what's going on in the same fashion he does. I think the only way you can maybe I'm not going to go there. Uh, but he says he understands why, actually, though. And when you hear the outside noise that is loud, it can make you really question if he truly does. But I know that there are those that say if Liverpool missed the Champions League, Slot has to go. If he wins the Champions League, Slot will stay. And Jamie Carragher said this. He said that this team can't handle low blocks, that we can't handle counters, set pieces, the fundamentals of the Premier League currently. And I don't know if that's a stylistic critique or if that's an existential critique, but missing Champions League changes everything. Recruitment, retention, leverage, patience, all that. And I'll ask you, JK, is Champions League qualification the real red line, regardless of style or philosophy? Or even is it Champions League or bust, basically?
That's the thing. See, when Jurgen Klopp came in, he knew he's going to be there for minimum next 3 years, minimum 4 years, and Slot don't know that. Hence why he's in a rush not to give youth players time and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Why? Because he's thinking this youth player might make a few mistakes and I might have a job. Where Jurgen Klopp didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can't really say Champions League or bust. Do I want Arne Slot as Liverpool manager next season?
I didn't even ask you that question, but if you want to answer it, go right ahead.
I'm on Julio's page in that way of youth players, who's coming through, who's getting chances. Like the way Klopp brought in Trent, will Slot do that? You know, in the same art. Yeah, that's the thing. Question. Like, if he wins the Champions League, bro, we can't really say anything, can we? In the way so many Liverpool fans, so-called Liverpool fans, I would say, have ripped Arnie apart via football shows and stuff. It's like, how could they show their face to Slot if he builds in big ears? You know what I mean? The Champions League. So it's one of them ones, man.
Well,
I don't mind Arnie Slot as manager in that way where he's not going to go anywhere now, because if it was going to happen, he wouldn't have done that round table interview. That's what I wanted to say earlier on. If a manager's on the brink of getting sacked, they would have squashed that interview, I believe. The club would have said, we don't want that interview to come out.
Right.
Because Arnie's not saying one day he's happy to be Liverpool manager, this, that, and the other. The next day we've sacked him. That's going to be embarrassing. So when that interview came out, I was saying, okay, this guy's staying until the end of the season minimum. Yep.
Arnie Slot is very intelligent. Make no mistake about that. Yep. Slot is too arrogant. If he keeps it simple, we are unbeatable. Don't complicate players. Let them play to their strengths, says Ardo. Red Armchair Support says that's why I believe. Yeah. You don't have to overcome. You don't have to
that's the beauty of football. You don't need to overcomplicate it. That's what he's done. He's overcomplicated. Why? Because he's so adamant in showing the world how Arne Slot does football. That's all it is, bro. He's got this ego thing where he's so adamant in showing the world who he is that he's actually forgetting the basics of football sometimes.
Yeah.
By keeping players sweet, your Chiesas and all these type of guys. Because you want to, everyone, Chiesa seems happy in training videos, don't get me wrong. But he's going to be more happy when he knows he's going to start on Saturday. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But I also believe that the club they didn't get a me and a you in to say to Arne Slot who the club is. Like, we could have chucked a suit on, shirt and tie, wore a Liverpool blazer and said, hey, Arnie, if you've seen the history of Liverpool Football Club, you've noticed the caliber of managers at the club in their history, and they've all stayed a long time. Why? Give me an answer, Arnie. Why do you reckon they stayed here for such a long time? And with that answer, you could have said if this guy is the guy to do that role. Because you could have said, you know what, he viewed the fans as family. Klopp did that. He was the best at it. You know?
Right.
Hence why he stayed 9 years, bro. You don't stay at a club for 9 years if you ain't connected to the fans. I'll tell you that bloody now.
Right.
And as simple as
Agreed.
that.
Agreed.
And I think Scott's missed that. He didn't. His first job wasn't, I'm going to connect with the fans there. It wasn't, bro. It was to take Kwanzaa off at half time and show us fans, this guy means business.
And
then
he never saw Kwanzaa again after that.
Yeah, and now fans want him back to be one of our central defenders next season.
Meaning we did see him in a rare.
Not really. It wasn't the same, bro. It wasn't the same.
Not for someone that started the first game of the season for us as our starter.
How shocked were we? We were like, wow, Kanate's on the bench. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, bro, at the end of the day, we won that game. So, it didn't... I think if we lost that game, noise could have been made, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It could have been. I don't know. I mean, like, I'll ask you this before we move on to the next topic or the final subject of the day. And that is, if we had lost that game 4-1, possibly, do you think that they're coming out with that do you think they're coming out with that press conference, or not press conference, but that
round table? If we won, what do you mean? If we lost that, we did lose to Bournemouth, no?
No. Meaning, if we had lost against Newcastle, would they have come? Because they came out. Yeah, they released it after the Newcastle game, but they made that. They made that game. They taped that long before the Newcastle game. It wasn't like they taped that live or something.
Yeah. I know what you mean, bro. I think if we lost, they wouldn't have pulled it out.
Yeah.
Look, man, even if we got a draw against Bournemouth the other week, we would have been on a mad run. Unbeaten and that. It would have just been better. I think that Bournemouth result really hit us in the stomach, you know. And that game, we shouldn't have really lost that game when you think about it. But hey, it is what it is and stuff. Bournemouth, they haven't been great this season, but they won the game after. So they won 2 in a row there.
They have.
But I like their manager.
Yeah.
I like their manager in the way he plays football. He looks like a funny guy. But manager-wise, I like him.
Okay. Look, before we're closing on the 90-minute mark, and I wanted to go into this because this is like this was at least something. I was making sure I had my stuff ready for you out here. This is something that is positive. I want to end on a positive note. And that is that there have been more names to sign on to be making the appearance at the Liverpool Legends game. Liverpool Legends game versus Borussia Dortmund Legends, March 28th at Anfield. Will include Dirk Kuyt. Will include Vladimir Smeister, Martin Skrtel. It'll have Natasha Dowie, who's the Liverpool women's team from Liverpool women's team, which is cool that they're starting to incorporate that into the mix more often than not now. And they're going to include also a Louise Shilgard as an additional female player that will be joining. But it'll be managed by Kenny Dalglish, and most notably as well, it'll also include Jurgen Klopp, Ian Rush, and John Aldridge. All is in support of the LFC Foundation, which is it's just helping people into work, qualifications, and opportunities in the community, which is a positive thing to be behind. That's truly a Liverpool virtue, standards, responsibility, and community, as we all like to talk about. And I'm excited to see the Liverpool Legends game, to see some of the guys that we all call our own be able to take the pitch. I think if the game was if it was in Germany, I'm sure it would be a little bit more difficult to see. Jurgen Klopp probably would have been on the Dortmund side of the pitch, probably because he does have ties to both Liverpool and Dortmund, and he is a Liverpool. Wouldn't you go as far as to say he's a Dortmund legend too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He brought him to the big table, as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely know what you mean. So it's going to be a good little run, and I think it'll be a fun time to get behind it. Here is it looks like we have a troll. But
or a Man City
apparently
fan who's happy.
yeah, a Man City fan that's happy. Yeah, I guess he's got a rather than 115 reasons, now he's got 116 reasons to be happy, maybe, considering that 115 of them haven't come out just yet, being pushed down and suppressed by them. I don't understand why that hasn't come out yet. That is ridiculous that it hasn't. But yes, Manchester City and Arsenal are now going to be involved in a League Cup final, and they will be our guests come Sunday. We'll have a I'll have a pre-game, like a pre-match preview for you. I'll probably do that tomorrow, to be honest with you, because I won't be available for Friday. So again, like I said, it was supposed to be today, but but it's now Friday. So what did okay, nah, that's just stupid. Anyway, sorry. Stupid is as stupid does, apparently, but all good. I just had to take a second to read the comment to see if it was worth repeating. It's not. So, JK, is there anything that you want to bring up, that you want to talk about? What's on your mind, maybe?
No, it's good that we didn't have a midweek game this week. Yeah, man. Hopefully, Virgil, Salah, and all these guys had a few days off and stuff. Big game against City. Look, City, they're not going to catch Arsenal, I don't think. Villa as well, 2 defeats in the last few weeks as well at home. So it looks like, yeah, man. Anthony Gordon, he came off, didn't he? So I think he's injured. But no, bro, just say the game's in a few days. Hopefully we get a home win. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is going to be an interesting one because, we have a case where City and Arsenal are 2 teams that I could really care less if either one wins the title this season. I will say this though, for when we do get trolls on our show, or when we do get guests arrive that are either neutrals, but certainly when they're rivals, I would love to see most of the same energy from from them when the game is completed, because quite often I see a lot of braggadocious, a lot of like, like I'm gonna yell, I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna talk loud about how great my team is and the likes, and then all of a sudden their team gets handled and they're ghosts. It's like they don't have that same energy to get back and at least eat crow, basically. Um, I think that's one of the unique things about this channel, and this is why I would say it to my guests, uh, and that is normally, normally, you don't see that from every person, but especially on this channel, you have a case where we do not hide. No matter if we win 5-0 or if we lose 3-0, we do not hide on this channel. So um I am certainly interested in seeing if the same energy exists for some of there's not really that many Manchester City fans. They're either like the majority of them. There are those they're honest Manchester City fans that have been from the very gate, long before the takeover of the club and the likes. Those fans I'll give credit to. Some I'll admit you can't do anything about it if you're not born in that era or whatever. You're born too late. I get it, but a good number of them that don't hail from Manchester City or from Manchester, I should say, are necessarily picking Manchester City simply because of their long allegiances, more so because of the bandwagon that is fortune that has been placed upon City as of late. But again, um, it is a reason why a lot of people are waiting, um, anxiously waiting to see what is going to be the ruling. I think, if anything, possibly this is like alleged or but I think possibly, if I were to speculate, it would probably be they're figuring out some way to minimize the allegations and the sanctions and the the uh, the things that have been in Manchester's history, meaning the 150, if not 130 clauses that are in their sitting in their lap for their lawyers to handle. But realistically, we will see what happens. We will see what happens. What happens? I don't know why you're talking about Newcastle so much on this channel. Um, we are not a Newcastle channel, so so hey, newsflash, we do not care. We do not care. I wish I had that. I gotta find that little that little blurb. We do not care, because it's the truth. We do not care.
Best of Trudon. Yeah.
Big up Trudon. Big up Trudon. We are going to now. I'm going to bring the show to an end, and if there's nothing else that anybody really wanted to talk about, I think that might be Noel Gallagher's burner account. By the way, you're right about that. Wonderwall, right? Isn't that the song that he sang, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and don't they sing Beatles songs at Manchester as well?
I'm not sure,
I thought they do. Cigarettes and alcohol. I don't know what that means. But I know all the now there's this is nonsense. All right, people, we're gonna bounce before this troll takes over more of our time by putting nonsense into our atmosphere, because I don't even know what he's talking about anymore. I don't think any of us really cared about who won the Newcastle Manchester. I'm speaking for myself at least. I was not in any. Did you hear me make any Manchester City or Newcastle has to beat Manchester City? You know, I didn't say that at all. And I could care less who wins the League Cup. If it was up to me, I'd allow for it to be a draw. So make them have to share the League Cup title like it's the Community Cup or something.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I want Man City to beat Arsenal. Yeah.
It's True Geordie. That's maybe what it is. Now that he knows I watched the kickoff. Maybe it's a True Geordie burner account. You're right about that. Maybe it is. But
if he's true Geordie, who's the bullshit one then?
Yeah. False Geordie.
Him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, huge thanks to JK for at least making us have a panel today, which is appreciative. Shout out to every Red that is watching. Big shout out to each and every one of you. Thank you for the neutrals and for the rivals, aka some even trolls. Big up. If you don't have trolls, then hey, you're not doing something right apparently. So that's how I look at it. But big up to everyone, pushing the debate along, carrying the weight for us to have a very, very interesting conversation. Because this club, like ourselves, like this channel, doesn't shrink from hard conversations. It demands that we have these conversations, and that's why I'm going to say, hey, this is Liverpool 12th man saying up the Reds each and every time. Do you want to say peace out, JK? I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Peace to the chat as always. We'll catch you guys soon.
All right. Yeah, we're at a little bit past the 90th minute mark, so that's a full 90 gotten in. We will see you guys tomorrow. And until then, like I said, up the Reds, but always, as always, you'll never walk alone. Take care, guys.
Peace.